Stepan Bandera is a name that for many is not just a symbol of Ukrainian history, but a real myth that inspires and indignates at the same time. For some, he is an immortal hero who managed to leave a deep mark in the struggle for Ukraine's independence. For others, he is a radical and even an enemy whose name is shrouded in controversy and political manipulation. What, in fact, is behind this legend? But before we continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new interesting stories and analyses of important moments in Ukrainian history. Your likes and subscriptions give us motivation to create more content. Stepan was born on January 1, 1909, in the village of Stary Uraniv. His parents were patriots of their country, and Father Andrei was a priest, a man who from childhood instilled in Stepan a deep sense of dignity and responsibility for the people. Already in adolescence, he understood that his calling was to serve his land, to fight for its freedom. This desire helped him find his place in the youth organization, Plast, and later, to join one of the most radical nationalist organizations of that time. In the 20s and 30s, Bandera became one of the key figures of the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, OUN. His firm belief that the struggle for independence should not be limited to peaceful means prompted him to use more decisive methods. Terror, assassinations of Polish and Soviet officials, these became his tools. So, in the 30s, he organized an assassination attempt on the Polish Minister of the Interior Bronislaw Perecki. This was one of those actions that became a point of no return. He was arrested and sentenced to death, although later the sentence was changed to life imprisonment. But even behind bars, Bandera did not give up. He continued to fight for his ideas, defending the independence of his country, even in prison. It was here, in the cells of Polish prisons, that one of the most dramatic stages of his life began, the split of the OUN. In the late 30s, a serious contradiction arose between the leaders of the organization. Some, like Bandera, believed that the onset of independence should be immediate, while others, like Andrei Melnik, proposed a more cautious approach and cooperation with the Nazis who were victorious in Europe. This split became a landmark not only for the OUN, but also for all Ukrainian politics of that time. Bandera headed the radical wing of the organization, which for many years determined the further development of the nationalist movement in Ukraine. In June 1941, together with other members of the OUN, he announced the Act of Restoration of the Ukrainian state. This act was an incredibly bold step towards independence. However, despite the enthusiasm of the Ukrainians, Nazi Germany did not want to create an independent Ukraine. Immediately after the proclamation of the act, Bandera was arrested and sent to the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, where he spent several years. But even while in German captivity, Bandera did not stop his struggle. After the war, he emigrated to Munich, where he continued to actively support anti-Soviet sentiments, collaborating with various émigré organizations. The Soviet authorities never stopped hunting him, and in the end, on October 15, 1959, Stepan Bandera died at the hands of a KGB agent. His death was the end of an era, but not the end of a legend. Today, decades after his death, the name of Stepan Bandera remains one of the most controversial figures in the history of Ukraine. Some see him as a hero who dedicated his entire life to the fight for the freedom and dignity of his people. Others see him as a radical whose actions and views were too extreme for many, even in the context of a nationalist struggle. But regardless of how we feel about him today, one thing is certain: Bandera is a man who left no one indifferent. His struggle, his resilience, his decisions and actions became part of national history, which continues to influence the current political situation in Ukraine. And even after decades, Bandera's name remains at the center of political ideas and discussions, as a symbol of the struggle for independence, which many want to remember or forget. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments under the video. Share your opinion about Stepan Bandera, because your point of view can be very interesting for others. We are waiting for your feedback.